Alright, before we begin, I must say that there will be spoilers regarding the first season of Jessica Jones. While many of you might scoff and say, no fucking shit, I'm making this announcement because the first season is by far and away Marvel's best TV show, which is saying something because they have other shows that are really good like Daredevil, Luke Cage, Punisher, all great shows, unlike the Iron Fist Season 1. Sorry, Danny Rand. What I'm trying to say is Jessica Jones Season 1 is an absolute treat and you deserve to see that unspoiled. You've been warned.
You must be cautious.
God, has it really been since 2015 that we last got a Jessica Jones-oriented show? I'd hope that the critical acclaim would have ensured that we would have had a new season before now. Quick aside, I'm not counting the Defenders because it was underwhelming. Well, regardless, Jessica is back and as angsty and inebriated as always. The second season picks up more or less where the first one left off plot-wise, and that Jessica is still doing work as a PI. She's depressed over the fact that she killed someone, even though that someone was the super-powered mass murderer Kilgrave, and she drinks lots of booze to carry her over to the next day. However, things change when her famous adoptive sister, Trish Walker, comes across new information about IGH, the company who was responsible for giving Jessica her superpowers as a child, and despite the dangers, Jessica pursues the company so that she can learn more about her origins. What I really like about Jessica Jones as a show, Season 1 included, is that the titular character of Jessica is less a superhero and more of a regular mess of a person who just happens to have superpowers. Sure, she gets into fights and partakes in heroics, but she never goes looking for conflict unless it is something related to her tumultuous life. This allows the character of Jessica to feel personal and create a connection between her and the viewer. We can easily understand her motivations as a character, and despite the fact that having super strength would be really cool, we understand how and why Jessica associates her abilities with her traumatic past and the deaths of her family. Kristen Ritter's performance as Jessica is still top quality as someone whose standard of living is always rock bottom. Jessica is one of the most interesting women in anybody's life she encounters, even if she denies her good qualities, and Ritter is just fantastic as her. The supporting cast and their plot lines are high caliber as well. Most notably is Jessica's best friend and adoptive sister Trish, who despite the fact has fame and fortune, has always been jealous of Jessica and how she has superpowers, and Trish goes on a plotline of self-discovery where she takes drugs to enhance her senses and eventually gives her an addiction problem and a plotline detailing her own insecurities. Another great character is the lawyer Jerry Hogarth, who is more or less soulless as only a lawyer can be, and she's struggling to connect with people after being diagnosed with ALS, which is quite an effective plotline even with the caveat that it very rarely has anything to do with the main plot. Rounding out the side plots are Jessica's assistant Malcolm, who's trying to figure out his life after going sober, Jessica's new neighbor Oscar, who has hang-ups about super people, and then there is the mystery villain, which I won't spoil here, but once the identity of the villain is revealed, it really adds a good twist to Jessica's plotline and gives the season an incredibly strong third act where Jessica must confront problematic aspects about her past she'd rather avoid. The only real problem with Jessica Jones Season 2 was an issue I predicted there'd be when I went into the season, and that is the lack of David Tennant as Kilgrave. While it's understandable that David Tennant is no longer a mainstay of the series, seeing as Jessica killed Kilgrave last season, it still kind of sucks that we're missing this incredible villain that was a perfect yin to Jessica's yang and dealt with the themes of rape, trauma, and sexual assault, something that other comic book adaptations seldom portray and even more seldom do well, and this season is unfortunately missing that aspect of it. With that said, taking Season 2 into account, Jessica Jones is still the best Marvel Netflix show of them all, and deals with some dark and depressive subject matter that most other comic book fare wouldn't touch, and its titular character is a fascinating character study of how a person can or can't cope with trauma. Hopefully we don't have to wait 3 years for Season 3. My final score for Jessica Jones Season 2 is a 4.5 out of 5. Please subscribe. See ya.